For too long, you waited for others to see your worth. Today, we take back control because waiting for recognition from others won't cure our need to feel like we're good enough. Welcome, I'm Jill Collins, and today we're going to dive deep into a conversation that touches the heart of every woman, especially as we navigate the complexities of midlife. Joined once again by the remarkable Lise Supo, an expert in personal transformation, we're uncovering practical strategies to dismantle those nagging doubts of self-worth. Together, we'll explore why feelings of inadequacy often peak in midlife and how you can counteract them with effective and affirming practices. We'll even be sharing some of our personal stories and our feelings of inadequacy. So let's dive in.
Lower your bar, my friend. Just lower your bar. Who says that we have to be perfect? How much you value yourself and you think you deserve in life will determine how much you achieve. Many times we're being programmed by society to think that we need to act a certain way. What they think is truly none of your business. You decide what's the limit. You can become whoever you want. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, but it means that everything is possible.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back once again. We're here with Lise Supo. Lise, we had her on the show recently. We talked about finding your spirit guides and knowing about your spirit guides. And so we're going to have her back again today. I'm so excited about this because we're going to go into something her and I were chatting about offline over the weekend. And it just hit us like, this is something that a lot of women are dealing with. And it's really about self-worth and how to feel great about yourself. And I think sometimes we feel like we're just nagged with like, are we good enough? Are we accomplishing things at this point in our life? Are we getting things done? Is it too late for us? And so we just want to dive into this today. So I'm so excited to have Lise, my dear friend. Lise is a medium, as you recall, if you've seen the other video, and she's also a spiritual life coach. Her gift in life is to help you connect with your higher self and life purpose so you can live the most beautiful, fulfilling life. So I'm so glad to have you back today, Lise. Thanks for being with us.
Oh, I'm so excited. This is so much fun. And I love everybody, they watch us your videos. It's so nice. And I'm just happy to help. So let's do it.
Great. Well, I'm so excited. Thank you. And if you haven't, let me just jump in real quick. If you haven't subscribed yet, we are getting so close to 1,000 subscribers. I'd really love for you to subscribe. So definitely click the subscribe button and hit the bell so you'll be notified when we release our videos every week. So thanks for doing that. All right, Liz, let's jump in. I'd love to know, what is your perception? Let's just dive in and really break it down. What is your perception of self-worth? And what does that really mean?
Well, the other day I was listening to a podcast from Amy Porterfield, and she was interviewing Jamie Kern Lima. They just released a book called Worthy. And that set me, it was like an aha moment for me, because she said, your self-worth will determine the ceiling for success in your life, for achieving your goals and dreams. And I was like, so true. How much you value yourself and you think you deserve in life will determine how much you achieve. So I think it's a very interesting subject that we need to talk about, because with my clients, I see it all the time. The main thing that we all have in common is not feeling good enough. And that's just so silly. I don't understand. I feel it. I don't know you. Do you feel good enough?
Yeah, I do. I think that's where we were chatting about something. And I said, it's just, I feel sometimes like I hit a ceiling, like a glass ceiling where I just get stuck and I don't want to move forward. There's a resistance of some kind. And it's like, I know I need to move forward, or there's things I have to accomplish or I want to get done. And I go, well, and then I sit with myself and I meditate and I go, what is this? What's stopping me? And it's usually something around the lines of, who do I think I am? That's usually the thing. Who do you think you are? And Jill Collins. And it's like, and then I go, oh, okay. And then I remind myself, as Michael Beckwith says, all my needs are met. I'm loved unconditionally. And I know in my soul that I'm completely worthy. But there are old tapes and things that go on in my head that say, and I think all of us are dealing with this, right?
Yes.
And we compare, and we're looking at the future, we're looking at the past, we're saying, oh, but I should have done this by now, or there's fear in the future of anxiety of, I'd have to do this before this date, or, there's so much happening. And so we just have to say, for me, it's just, okay, recenter and just own who I am and remember, what is it I'm doing it for? What's my why? What is the purpose what's my purpose of what I was called to do? And when I
Yeah.
get out of my head and worry about, usually my trigger is, what do people think about me?
Mm.
I don't want to look bad. And so that's where my self-worth, usually that's when I'm getting that resistance. I say, it's that. And so then I think, okay, what is it really about looking bad? If I'm serving someone else and I'm offering something, then why is it about me? So that's something that, and do you think, I want to ask you this, have you noticed over the years, like, I have, is transitioning through different phases in your life, in my 20s and 30s, I was so self-conscious. And as I've gotten older,
Yes.
especially 40s and then 50s, even now, 53, there's sort of an innate wisdom, is this feeling of, it's not just, I know it all, not that, it's, there's just really divine wisdom.
Yes.
And when I own that and I trust myself and I say, no, you've seen a lot, and you understand this. And there's a difference. Have you experienced that where you've
Oh, for
different phases?
sure. When we're teenagers, we feel so judged by others and things like that. And honestly, then our 20s, 30s, and so on, And I don't know you, but when I turned 40 was when I started to say, or to see life very differently. Like you care less about what other people think about you, because what they think is truly none of your business. So might as well just do whatever you want to do anyway. But yes, and you have that wisdom that comes with experience, with time. So for sure, for sure. But still, I see it with my clients all the time that no matter how old you are, you still don't believe in yourself because you've been programmed by society and by so many, cultural things and stuff like that, that you are not worthy or that you are not good enough or that. And so I say to those things, lower your bar, my friend. Just lower your bar. Who says that we have to be perfect? Let's just reframe how we see things, like what you were mentioning about reaching certain goals. Who says that we have to reach those goals? Maybe the treasures are in failure. The gifts, the teachings are in failure sometimes. So might as well strike low.
I hope you're enjoying today's episode. And if you are, consider subscribing. 93% of you that listen to this podcast regularly have not yet subscribed. If you like this channel, can you do me a quick favor and hit the subscribe button? It helps this channel more than you know. And the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests get. Thank you. Strive low. And something I heard recently on a podcast, I don't remember who it was, but I loved it. It was set a lower goal that's attainable, or it's a regular commitment if it's a ritual or it's a habit.
The
And
thing
it
is,
was
for overachievers like you and I, it doesn't feel, exciting to
no,
put the bar low, right? We want to
right.
achieve more and more. The thing is to switch your mindset into celebrating every small step that gets you to a different, stepping stone. So maybe put the goal high, but if you don't achieve it, still feel the same excitement because it's coming. It's just a step forward.
That's good. That's good. Well, let's get specific about what that means, because I'd love to know your specific ways that you think we could cultivate self-worth when you feel overlooked or undervalued by, say, society, or you're looking at, I know we say we don't want to compare ourselves to others, but with social media and all these things happening, I think I don't do that. And then sometimes I catch myself like saying, oh, wow, I should be doing this now, or I should have had this, or I should, and the shoulds kick in. Whenever I hear the shoulds in my head, I go, oh, I'm shooting all over myself here. And I'm like, what is it? So what is it that I'm doing? And so usually it's, if I'm spending too much time on social media, or I'm spending too much time watching TV, Netflix, whatever, not TV so much, but Netflix or any kind of, streaming services, and watching just what I think is a reward, like something to just, relax and chill out at the end of the day, is actually, for me personally, it's hurting me, because I'm then subconsciously, all this stuff's coming in and I'm looking at what other people are doing, and I'm creating more stress in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I'm learning more to just trust that meditation time and sitting And again, these high achieving goals, my struggle's always been with consistent meditation. And so when I get to this point, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to meditate every day for an hour, twice a day, or that's the big, goal. And then it's like, oh, I know I'm not going to start there. That's not going to work. I have to have those little goals. Is it 15 minutes in the morning and just start with that?
Yeah.
And then do that consistently. And something I heard Michael Beckwith say on a video yesterday, I loved, is he talks about blissipline. And it's in starting with when we are disciplined and we do something consistently, one thing like the 15 minutes, it becomes a blissipline. And I've been striving for this for so long. I've asked our friend Svetlana Newsom, how do you get to the point where you just crave and you want to sit in meditation, where it's not like a checklist or a chore or a task? And it's what Michael Beckwith said is that key is that doing it consistently, it becomes a habit and it becomes blissful because we're feeling so much pleasure. It's a blissful feeling when we sit long enough and we get to that state of bliss, that it's unlike any pleasure. So for me, cultivating a sense of self-worth, the only answer for me is in that. And that's my number one intention for myself.
And there's people that become addicted to meditating, to be honest with you, because when you start meditating, you get to that point that you feel really blissful. It can become, addictive too, like everything good in life. But also is when you were saying about social media and, it's the relaxing time. I'm addicted to TikTok. And I know that when I go to bed, I want to watch, even if it's 10 minutes, but until I fall asleep almost. And I know it's not good for me. I know it all, but I still want to do it. And so it's paying attention to how you feel. TikTok makes me feel good. Instagram doesn't. And I used to love Instagram. And so I learned to say, okay, no to what makes me feel bad, but yes to a little bit of what makes me feel good, even if it's not that great for me. And of course, meditating is so much more helpful, but we're humans. So try to watch the things that inspire you. When you see a video of someone that is triggering you not in a great way, then just swipe up. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's really good. That's really good. I know and I noticed that the more I do it, I mean, it's almost the opposite. So like this weekend, I'll confess, because I'm going to ask you about some feelings of personal experience, which you just gave one is I binge watched on Netflix all weekend. And I thought, oh, I'm just going to do it for a little while. I never do it during the day, even on the weekends. But it's been cold here in Argentina and I didn't want to go out and it was raining. And I thought, oh, I'll just sit here and I'll just watch an episode of something. And then next thing you know, 4 hours went by and I was still sitting there in my bed with a coffee and with water. And I'm just like, really? And so it hit me by Sunday, I said, when I did this 2 days in a row, I said, okay, if I can and then Monday I wanted to do it again. My body wanted to do it again.
Yes.
And I went, huh. And Mondays, I'm up, I'm doing stuff, usually during the week. And I went, oh, so I've, in a weird sort of way, it wasn't a blissipline, but I've created a habit now. My body it's created and established a routine. So if I can do that with something that's not, we'll call it good, but not as going to lift me up in 2 days, what would meditation or other things do for me? Yeah. So that real awakening.
And sometimes it's just the awareness of realizing what's happening, and making decisions out of being aware, not just out of, that you're used to do it, of your body's craving it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I knew it. And I was feeling, here's the funny thing too, is when we give ourselves permission and just say, you know what, I'm going to take some time and just do this. Well, if you're going to do that, for me, I just say, well, then at least enjoy it. Like there's not that guilt going every minute. I'm going, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. And then the next one comes and you just hit the, next episode and it goes automatically. Netflix is so good. It's like within 5 seconds, you're on the next episode and you didn't even have a chance to turn it off. And you're like, okay, one more. It's only 30 minutes, okay. And then that's like, 8 times or whatever long, and it's like, okay, at some point, it's like, you just gotta hit the button before it starts the next one. It's such a conscious cutoff. And I just observed myself over the weekend and I said, this is a fascinating analysis. I was just watching the body, Jill's body, go, wow, look at what you're doing. That's fascinating. Look at how you're doing that. And so I was able to learn something from it. And so, yeah,
So if
but
you can ask yourself, if I'm able to do this, what else am I capable of?
yes,
And turn it
yes.
into something positive.
So going back to the inadequacy part is I noticed that after 2 days of doing that, how suddenly I felt inadequate. Like I felt this feelings of inadequate or unworthiness all crept up more for me. It became harder on Monday to say, okay, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get work done, and we're going to put the dishes away from the weekend when you just throw them in the sink, which I never do. And I just like really vegged, and I said, this is, and it became more of a chore to get myself, I wouldn't say back on track, but to kickstart everything. And I just said, it was that. So in I felt a lower sense of self-worth after that weekend.
Right.
And I
What I
said,
was going to ask you is, what set you up for that kind of weekend? Like, because sometimes, I don't know you, but if I veg like that, I'm trying to numb myself. I'm trying to avoid something that I'm supposed to do. And sometimes because I'm not feeling good enough or that I'm going to fail, I'd rather not do it than try.
yeah,
So
for
were
sure.
you trying to avoid something?
Absolutely. I have a long list of things to do. And I looked at the ones that, we always have that one we know would move the needle. There's this one thing usually on our list, and it's like, yeah, I got to get that done. And so then we start doing all the other things around it that are easier. And, and at some point I just said, well, it's Friday, so I won't get that done. It's already 4 o'clock. But then it started to eat away at me. And I think I just said, fuck it, I'm not going to do any of that. And then I just literally, like, my body just protested every activity or every action of,
Yeah.
and it was, it was like I almost rebelled against every single thing, like not even putting the dishes away.
Yeah.
That was like, wow. And I haven't done that in a long, long time, but it was such a great opportunity to see what I was avoiding. And it's just, reaching out to new guests to interview, changing a bunch of things for the community that I'm creating here, which I have links in here below. You can check out my new community, and just those kinds of things. And I guess I just got into such overwhelm where I just said, there's too much, and you can't do all this, Jill. It's too much. And so then I said, oh, well, you deserve to relax this weekend. Or I didn't even say weekend because I didn't expect to do it all weekend. It starts with just, you can relax for an hour, just
Yeah.
chill. Don't do anything. It's okay. Well, the whole weekend went by and I didn't do anything,
And
literally.
then you feel bad about yourself because you didn't do anything that you said that you were going to do, and so on. And then it's a vicious circle. And then something else,
Exactly.
The thing is, these are great exercises in life that show us our patterns and where else are doing and acting the same way. So, you were scared about reaching out to, guest or someone to be in your podcast. So why is that? What is the bottom thought, that you have, that you don't deserve them? What is it?
Yeah. I think for me is this just, yeah, I think it's something along the lines of, will they say yes? And I think I went back to like childhood, you know, trauma of being in school and people not accepting me or not wanting to come to my house, or, not liking me, or not wanting to be my friend, or whatever, those little things. And I did think about that. I'm like, why is that? I asked you again, why is it that you're any different than somebody else I want to invite? It's because I know you, and we're friends, and it's easier to ask you. And, so I was going, yeah, well, but what if they say no? Is it a really big deal? Or what if they don't respond? Oh, what does that mean to you when they don't respond?
So I
What are you
want
making
to
that mean, right? What if they don't
make it
respond? What are you making that mean, Jill, about you? They're rejecting you?
right.
Maybe
So
they just have too many emails.
that's the key, is what you believe about yourself when something happens. And them not answering can mean so many things. Maybe they didn't even get the email. Maybe they have a team that goes through everything. The people that gets the farthest in life is the people that are oblivious, that they don't even know that they can fail. They just go for it. And they know you already have it. So you might as well try for the yes. And in the middle, you can learn so much about yourself, about others. You can meet other people that might be perfect for your podcast. So I would just say, fuck fear. Just go for it and just do it anywhere. I have a mentor that she has a phrase that I love. Actually, it's Brittany Turner, the owner of the
Yeah,
island, private
I
island.
know. Yeah, been there.
She says, do it with diarrhea. Do it anyway, but just do it. But it's true. Just do it with diarrhea. Who
Yeah,
cares? We all fail. We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. We all have flaws. So just be human. Be you.
that's right. And I remind myself of times when I did get out of my comfort zone and do something like that, the tremendous impact it had. People I was afraid to reach out to, people I was afraid to talk to, whatever, years ago in my corporate career. And, I said, God, that changed my life. That one call I was terrified to make, that one, lunch I was afraid to ask for, or whatever it was. And I said, dang, that changed my life. That was such a huge thing. It moved the needle tremendously.
Yeah.
So do it again. Do it again. Well, what about you? Do you have a situation like that where you've gone through something?
Well, what I wanted to add also, here comes the medium in me, is when you have a hinge or a burning desire or something that's telling you do something and your mind is going, no, that doesn't make sense. That's scary. That's dangerous. That's not good. Just those are your guides guiding you, telling you this is the way, even if you don't see it now, this is it. So go at it. And I learned that in my life, that when I ask for help, because I know that that's the best way for me, for everybody, actually. And I have the first thought, that's what they're guiding me, and telling me what to do, that I need to follow it, even if it doesn't make sense. And I learned that it makes my life so much easier, honestly, that now I really pay attention to those hinges and burning desires.
And a hunch, yeah, a hunch.
Oh, hunch, sorry, hinge.
Yeah.
That's another story. That's another thing. And
Oh, wow.
actually, I'm teaching a class tomorrow that is called Attract What You Want. And it's because I strongly believe that just for the fact that you want something that is meant for you, everything that you want has been placed in your heart for a reason. So just go at it. And if it scares you, it's because that's so good that, it's going out of your comfort zone. So just do it, try it with diarrhea.
Diarrhea. I love it. I love it. Well, where's the time when you can remember where you felt like you were out of your comfort zone and you struggled with that?
I mean, I'm an immigrant. I moved from Argentina to become an actress in New York City. And I had $700 in my pocket. Do you think that that wasn't challenging enough? Then I'm just saying different things in life. Yeah, I wanted to get a divorce because I wasn't very unhappy in my marriage. And I, didn't have any family here. I had 3 kids and not much, going on for myself. And finally, I had the cojones to do it. And I actually self-represented myself in court. So if that's not, challenging and scary and, and then you look back in life and you see the things that scare you the most, and they seem so little now because you have grown in such a beautiful way that I don't know you, but I'm at a point in my life that I'm learning to be proud of myself. And even though I'm a recovering perfectionist, I'm always, the not good enough is so deep in my heart sometimes that it's a constant exercise of saying, so what is enough? I'm more than freaking enough. Look how much I have accomplished in my life. My husband dying and me having to move my kids 2 weeks later to another house and a year later to another house. And I did it like, I don't even know how I did it. Next year, my kids are all going to college and my dogs die and, I don't have anybody else. So I'm like, what am I going to do in my life? And I'm like, okay, what if this, instead of being a curse, is a blessing in disguise? So what do I want to do with my life? And I think I'm going to move to Spain. I can see myself in a little house, a white house with ocean views, and I don't need much, and continue doing what I love the most. So it's all about reframing how you see things. Instead of everything is happening to me, everything is happening for me. I just don't know it yet.
Yes, that's great. I love the reframe and the opportunity that you saw. something new for yourself and you said, let's change that. Let's shift. But I think sometimes we're in that space. And I'm sure there are a lot of people watching who are saying, that's great for you, but I can't move. And I'm sitting here with my kids that are leaving or have left, and I'm all by myself. I'm divorced or whatever, I'm single, or, is how did you feel at that time when you first felt that, and just that, tell me kind of what
Yeah.
those feelings were.
So most of us humans, we want to avoid pain, right? So we don't want to feel it. And there's such a gift in feeling the pain, because avoiding the pain will just perpetuate it and make it bigger. So just go through whatever you need to go through. Cry. This week I wrote an email to my newsletter and I told them, I'm scared and I'm sad. And now what? And I just poured my heart out and I said, my kids are leaving. My dogs die. What am I going to do? And you know what? I just know that when you're going through something tough, it's important to share with others, because when you're vulnerable, you make it okay for other people to be vulnerable also, and to understand that you're not alone. We are all, going through life together. It looks different for everybody, but just find the way to make yourself happier. If you don't have the option of going to Spain or whatever it is that you want to do, find what's the next step that you need to take to be happier. Just the next step. And it might not be a big deal, but it will make a big difference when you continue taking the next step and the next step and the next step. And then one day I look back and you're going to say, who is this person? I didn't even know she was there,
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And do you think, I know in your coaching, do you help your clients with negative self-talk and interrupting patterns? And I know you talk about energy blockages and things like that. But how do you work with them? How do you help with changing?
For
Self-talk? Is that the
example,
key? What's the most important thing that you work with, that you say is the one thing you would get them to start with?
So I'm teaching a program called Becoming Her, that beautiful being you were born to be, where, you and I hosted a retreat in Ibiza and you were part of it. And I've been hosting this program now, this is my 5th time. And I see the change in people going through it, because we start with the things that are blocking us. They're keeping us from where we are to where we want to be. Or many times we don't even know what we want. So we have very different exercises to do to realize, and these are simple exercises, questions that we ask better questions, because many times we are just so programmed in our limiting beliefs and fears and trauma, or things that happen to us and that we can't forgive. And so we go through different things, from dealing with forgiveness, and not just forgiveness to others, but to ourselves. Like self-worth, a lot of time is because we don't forgive ourselves for our shortcomings. And it's so important to realize that we don't have to be perfect. We just have to learn how to do life better, so we feel better. And many times we've been programmed by society to think that we need to act a certain way, to do a certain thing, or to, just listen to what other people are saying. No, we don't. You need to listen to yourself. Your body is your antenna. So what is your body telling you? What do you need to listen to? And just keep doing the best that you can with the tools that you have today. And just forgive yourself for not doing good enough sometimes in the past. Who cares? You're doing better today.
Okay. So I have an example, and we're talking, it's like negative self-talk or reprogramming. And if I'm saying to myself, I have a big one that's came up with me and some friends, is a girlfriend, and it was a struggle this past week. And I had no idea. For 3 weeks, she was feeling upset about something I'd said, and it was something she said was passive aggressive, and I had no idea. So she sat on this for 3 weeks, and she came up to me the other day and she said, "Hey, I just want to talk to you. It's really been bothering me." And long and short is, we were kicking this around, and I said, well, I just figured you're really busy now, and I don't want to. She said, you don't text anymore, you don't call as much or whatever. And I said, well, you always say you're really busy. And so I said, so I don't want to bother you. And then I realized that that's another voice. That's another thing I say, is I don't want to bother people. So when I reach out to podcast, I don't want to bother people. I don't want to bug them. I don't want to reach out too many times and keep asking and following up. And so I have this thing about don't bother people.
Mm.
And so if I just assumed she was busy. And so she needed something, she would text me. And I said, well, you don't text me. And she said, well, you don't either. And I went, ooh. And then I sat with that. That was another thing that probably why I sat around all weekend. Now I think about it, it was really bothering me a little bit. But it was like, what is it that I do that a lot with people? It's like if I can't count on somebody anymore, it's dynamics has changed in this relationship because she's dating someone now and she's busier with that. And so we used to get together and on the phone or every day almost. And I just said, well, I realized I can't count on her. So I was saying, don't bother people if they're busy. So I'm being a bad friend and I didn't even realize I was doing it. So what is a reframe you would give me to say, I don't want to bother people. I don't want to reach out to people too much. I don't want to ask for help. It's really asking for help or asking like, I'm not worth it. It's an unworthy conversation, isn't it?
So do you see the relationship between this situation with you reaching out to big people for interviews?
Yep. That's what I just was saying. Exactly. It's all the same. It's I don't want to bother people.
Yeah. So
Which means I'm not worthy of.
And you said also, if you're busy, I don't want to bother you. So if someone is bigger and important, they're always busy. So you're going to be bothering them deep inside your mind, right?
Yeah.
So the question is, and you're asking great questions. That's very important. Is where is that coming from? You know, who told you that you bother people? Because there's a voice back
I know
then.
exactly where it came from. Yeah. We, as a family, we weren't allowed to sell anything to people except Girl Scout cookies. We don't want to bother people.
Yeah. So
And
you need that.
yeah, so don't bother people.
Yeah. And so what if instead of bothering, you're bringing joy into their life or you're bringing opportunities? Because I personally, Jill, I see you as a connector. You're an amazing connector. You're someone that I admire. So why? And it's funny because when we are insecure, people can feel it, even if you pretend that you're not, you know, that's self-confidence. And it goes very in relationship with self-worth. So when you are insecure, people can smell it, they can feel it. So, and the best thing that you can do when you are feeling insecure is acknowledging and saying, hey, I'm just feeling a little insecure because deep inside of me, you know, there's a voice that says, you're not good enough, or I don't want to bother people. But guess what? I don't think I'm going to bother you because I'm bringing value to your life. So I hope that, you know, that you can see that too. And I miss you. I love you. Or whoever, you know, if you're talking to your friend, I know you're in a relationship, but I still care about you and I want you in my life.
I just
also,
had a flash. Yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
no, I think it has to do with the relationship. The fact that she's in a relationship makes you feel like you're not good enough because you're not in a relationship. Is it possible?
Not so much. I'm really happy for her because we've been really good friends. And so this is like just, oh gosh. I mean, we actually helped her set this up. It was just, I was a part of it. My other friend was a part of it. And we were there when they first met. It was just this random thing.
So
we were
question,
really.
how are you when you are in a relationship with your friends?
I mean, but see, this is what happens is the thing about don't bother people is whenever I ask for something in the past, and I'm so aware of this pattern now, is whenever you're going to ask for something, make sure you have something in your hand to give when you ask for something.
Is that so?
So like with my friends, you ask my friends, they always say I'm very generous. I'm super generous. I'm always giving. I'm always there. Now, that's a if I need something, you better say, oh, well, you know what, if you need this, I can help. You know, it's like a trade-off. I'm going to talk about horse trading. But I love what you said about acknowledging the feeling.
Yeah.
And actually I've known this, and I had a big guest on my show a while back. And I remember before we started the interview and we are just talking, and as I said something like, gosh, I'm just want you to know, I'm really nervous. And she said, oh my God, cancel. You can't be nervous. You're not supposed to be nervous. Don't say that. And then I said, okay, got it. So I won't be, forget that, whatever. I went along with it. And then during the interview, she brought it up that I said that. And I'm like, fuck me, like, oh my God, I was like, well, now I feel even worse, it's like, but it was a great lesson. So we have to, and it just hit me when you said that. So maybe that's another one is don't let them see you sweat. Remember those phrases? You
But
can't, you got to,
why? I think that
but
was a
that's
limiting belief on her part too. I'm not.
perhaps. But you see that when, so we have to notice, like, I love the way we're dissecting this one. I know it's throwing me a little bit under the bus here, but I love sharing, my situation, being vulnerable, because I know it helps other people. But is that, am I subconsciously using that situation? We have something happen, and then we tie it and attach it to everything. Like, it's always going to happen if I ever say that again. Like, don't ever say that again, because if you do, then someone's going to call you out on it. No, but our bodies are wired traumatic. We get trauma and we subconsciously park that in our brain, our body somewhere, right?
The thing is that you might not know that she might feel terrified too, and she doesn't know that she can be vulnerable. And so by you bringing it up, maybe she's overriding it because she cannot, feel it, because it's not okay to feel nervous. It's who knows? Maybe not. Maybe it's something else.
But true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny is that when we can, I think the point of this, everyone, is that when we can look at it and kind of dissect it, like it's an experiment. We can look at it and pick it apart and go, that was from that one time, like you just said with me. When did you hear that? For the last, way back. Then we can acknowledge it. We shine the light on it and we see it and it becomes visible. And then we can look at it. And as you said, you feel it and you go, okay, I'm going to feel that. Okay, I'm feeling insecure. There it is. Got it. Okay, I'm feeling unworthy right now. Got it. Wow, where's that coming from? And then process it and just allow ourselves to feel it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Instead of stuffing it down and cancel and ignoring it, it's like, whoop, no, I'm actually still feeling fear. Sorry about it. I still am. Like, it didn't happen.
The feelings, it's impossible. So if that works for anyone, just teach me. Because when I'm feeling sad, scared, and someone says, cancel, you're not allowed, all the contrary, I feel worse. So no, feel it all and make it okay to feel, uncomfortable.
Dang, that's good. That's good. I love it. I love it. Well, this has been a really good one. What is, how about, sometimes we talked about, discipline versus blisscipline, which I'm really on this now, is when we have personal achievements, even small ones, that can affect our self-worth. But is that the goal that we should, like, I know you mentioned like talking about like remembering all the things we've accomplished and we've done to feel good about ourselves. But is that, I know for me personally, sometimes that feels fleeting. Like, yeah, I've accomplished a lot in my life. I mean, so many things I can, go and look at that. But for some reason, it seems fleeting sometimes. Like, it doesn't satisfy. That's me. Do you think there are other ways that we can feel, at a higher level of vibration, that we can feel self-worth without, even if we haven't achieved anything, that we can still feel worthy?
The biggest achievement that you can have in life is just being. When you're satisfied by just being, is the most blissful feeling that you can have. And I don't know what had happened in my life lately. Well, I know what has happened, but I used to want so much. I wanted the big house, so much money, and this and that, and nothing wrong with that. But now I'm in a different season in my life that I want less. And I asked myself, is that wrong to want less? It's because I'm always an overachiever, and whatever I wanted in life, I went for it. I left my country. I, had 3 kids in 1 year. I, got divorced. I became a widow. Moved 200,000 times. Who knows? And I asked myself, is it wrong to want less? And actually feels so good to want less. And that doesn't mean that I don't have big goals, like in my business or with my kids or whatever. It's just not needing them to be happy. I'm happy the way I am. I'm overweight and I've been struggling with my weight for 20 years or more. And I keep trying, and I'm going to keep trying to be healthy. And it's, an addiction probably. And that's why it's been so hard. But I'm never going to give up, and at times I feel like a failure, of course. But I'm like, no, I'm doing my best. And with everything in my life, I try to reframe my thinking and say, no, It's okay. It's okay. There's something that I still need to learn from this. And just be happy with who you are today. And if you can improve, great. The same with your business or your job or your career or your relationships. Whatever you're not happy with, try to write it down and see what you can do, the little steps to make it better instead of the huge steps that seem impossible.
I love that. That's really great. Little steps, because that's sometimes we make such big chunks of like, I want to do this, I want to accomplish. They're just too big, and then we freeze. I think we
Yeah.
freeze.
And
What
also
would
when
you?
something doesn't go according to what you want, like regarding the goal settings, ask yourself instead of, because the first thing that will be triggering your head will be, it's because I'm not good enough. I don't deserve, this is not for me, blah, 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 blah. So ask yourself, what else can this mean? Find empowering questions. What else can I do to make this situation better? What else that I haven't tried yet, I can try it now?
I love those, the three empowering questions you just gave. That's really good. That's really good. I would definitely rewind this, everyone, and take note of those. I think that's a good framework to start. It's really going into inquiry, and this whole thing about just diving in and dissecting. And that's where we started these questions sometimes is it true? Am I, what is this about? Because I think in midlife too, and, we struggle sometimes at our ages, maybe not midlife, but wherever we are, if we have any major change, like whether it be career or divorce or loss of a partner or a relationship change of any kind, kids leaving home, whatever it could be, is that we have our identity. We have some people would, the coin the phrase kind of passe, but identity crisis. But I think we sometimes often question like, who am I now? And it really affects our self-worth, because I know for you and me both, having lost our husbands, I was his wife. We had a position in society or something, or at least perceived like a social situation where we were before, but when he was even working, and then moving to Argentina, then it was, well, I'm someone who lives in Argentina and I have two homes. And then there's this like identities that happens. So we sometimes cling so tightly to that and what we think it is with our self-worth. And when something changes, maybe the income changes, which you and I both have experienced that, or, like you having to move out of your house 2 weeks after your husband passed away into another place. I mean, whoa, that's huge.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just like a lot of different things, over time, things are changing. And I'm like, wow, am I tying my self-worth to to who I think I am in my identity? And how do you deal with that? Yeah.
Yeah, is your identity. Sometimes you have become someone that you don't even like. I don't know if that happened to you, but it happened to me, that I have been for many, many years trying to achieve things that weren't even things that I wanted, and now ask yourself the question, who am I? Like you said, what do I want? What kind of life do I want to live? You can ask yourself those questions at any time in your life, no matter what your life looks like or who you're with. It can be scary at times, to hear the answers, or, scary because you might not even know what do you want. But usually people know what they don't want. And so write down what you don't want in life and then switch it and see
Yeah.
what you want. Usually it's the opposite.
That's great. I love that, because sometimes it's easier sometimes to start with what we don't want. It's the aversion of what we're pushing away, or resisting, versus what we want. And the other thing is sometimes it's the very things that we're clinging so tightly to can also be the very things that are holding us back from what we really want.
That's so powerful, Jill. It's so powerful because sometimes we are so stuck in our ways, or we're so stuck in fear that we don't want to let go because we're scared of what is going to happen. But everything is pushing us to make that change and to whatever. And then when we let go, it's like we can breathe again, and then magic happens, because you realize that everything that you've been holding on has been weighting you down instead of the opposite. And so it's time to let go sometimes.
I love that. That's great. It's clinging to something, craving something. It could be a relationship or more money. And there's something to be said for that. There's literally a shift that happens. I know I've experienced that when I said, you know what, I don't need that. I don't need that. And as soon as I say that, I can feel it's almost like the weight, literally like you have a heavy coat on and someone takes the coat off. It's just like, okay, I don't have to worry about that now because I've given up that thing that I think I need, and I've got to. Then the brain is subconsciously, our body, everything is going to work in the background. Like she says, she wants this. We got to find a way to get it. We got to find a way to get it. We got to find a way to get it, and then it keeps working. But where there are blockages, there's all kinds of things. But as soon as we release these cravings, these desires that are so heavy, they always say, they always say too, isn't it funny? There are two examples I think I can think of is when I stopped I wasn't even looking and I met my dream man. That was, and that's one. Another one, personal experience with my late husband and his wife, his first wife, is that they were trying to have children for years and couldn't, so they adopted. And as soon as they got the adopted child home, found out she was pregnant. So the kids are like 7 months apart.
Yeah,
so it's like trying for 10 years. So it's like when we finally release, sometimes that happens. And this is a little off topic, but I think it's so interesting. It's just that identity. We've got to let go of, like,
and
sometimes
change
it's
our identity, change it. Don't identify with things that don't resonate with you anymore. And about what you said, when you let go and all of a sudden things happen, it's because we attract who we are, not what we want necessarily.
Ooh, love
It's
that.
the energy. Yeah, that's what I'm teaching tomorrow in my Attract What You Want class. So you should come.
Okay, we're going to put the link in your
here. Yes.
Put the link and also your program. Again, you mentioned that, and there's a discount for my subscribers.
Yeah. So anybody listening, if you would love to be part of Becoming Her, that starts June 1st, you have a discount code Jill50 for $50 off. And I would love to have you. It's for women only. So I hope you're a female looking at this, watching this. Yeah. But it's a great program because it's easy, it's enjoyable, and I channel messages from my guides. So we teach, it's 5 classes, 5 different Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And everything gets recorded. So it's very easy if you cannot attend. But the good thing that happens when you come to the live class is that when we do the exercises, I get messages from my guides to guide each one of the people that are attending, whatever they're going through. And it's so eye-opening because it's like having an extra view from what you're going through. So it's really powerful.
I love that. And so I'd love to hear, because I know I've done your retreat in person, as we talked about earlier. I know that I received so many messages and great ideas and insights for myself. But what are some things, like the benefits of having this, knowing your worth? Mm-hmm. Like, what do we're talking a lot about like what not to do or how to fix it or how to have self-worth, but what's the outcome? Like, what are you going to expect? Like, am I going to, if I'm looking for a love relationship, if I want more money, if I'm wanting that, I know that's not, we just said we don't need that necessarily. Don't focus on that. What are the expectations? Like, what is my life going to be like when I have a higher self-worth?
That everything you want is possible, that you decide what's the limit. That's the bottom line of self-worth, is that you, no matter what, you can become whoever you want. You can achieve whatever you want. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. No, but it means that everything is possible. So go for it. And the best outcome is also that you're going to be happier, because doesn't it feel so much better to feel appreciated by yourself first? That you want to spend time with yourself. Many times we want to be in a relationship, but we forget about the first relationship, the most important one, that is the one we have with ourselves. And, this might sound very cliche, but it's true. Would you date yourself? Would you want to spend time with yourself every day? Would you, in Becoming Her, one of the last session is about embodying the goddess within. And the thing that triggers a lot of people is that we have to dress that day in a sexy way. And the reason why I say it, and nobody can see you because the camera only shows this part, but it's so triggering for a lot of women to dress sexy or to feel pretty, because we have been programmed not to feel pretty for most of our life, to criticize our bodies no matter what they look like. You know, we always find something to feel not worth it. So it's so important to go through these kind of exercises and understanding that we're just perfect the way we are. We gotta love ourselves. And when, after, 3 years of being a widow and I started dating and stuff like that, and I'm at my worst in my body, but I feel so good about myself. I find myself so beautiful and sexy, and no matter what, and men are dying for me. So if I knew all my life, that it took just self-confidence and self-worth to feel good, and that is so sexy to anybody. Self-confidence is the best, So if I have to say something, that will be it. You will attract so much more with self-confidence than with any beauty that you might have.
I think that is well said. And as we kind of get ready to wrap up here, I was thinking of something. I'm glad you brought up dating, because I've noticed myself that when I am in a, like, let's just an example, just in a real peak state, like coming out of a conference, whether it be a Dr. Joe Dispenza, advanced retreat, or 7 days of meditation, or some Tony Robbins event, or whatever, we're just really like feeling great about ourselves.
Yes.
And you go on a dating app, or you just run into men, and the men that show up are quality guys. If I'm in a low point and I don't feel great about myself, and I go and look at the app or whatever, it is amazing the difference of who I'm attracting.
That's powerful.
Have you experienced
we
that?
attract what we are, right?
Absolutely. And so I can literally look at different relationships over the past 6-7 years and go, oh, wow, I can almost tell where I was in my self-worth during those times by person, and go, oh yeah, that was kind of going through a tough time then with this business venture, or I was kind of going through a tough time with this, and oh yeah, I remember that. I can see it. It's almost like a gauge of oh yeah, that was a pretty good guy there. Yeah, well, I was kicking ass there for a while. I was feeling really good about myself. I just came out of this. I just joined Plaid. I stopped drinking, and whatever, all these things. And I'm like, yeah, but it just wasn't quite the right fit. But those were some good guys, so it's like I can literally see the improvement in who I not just who chose me or who showed up, but who I accepted.
Oof.
Who I was willing to date. That's a big one for self-worth. We are always, they say some people say you have a bad picker, and it's the bad picker comes from directly tied to self-worth and how we feel about ourselves. And so if we only think that we're worthy of someone who's going to control us or whatever that is, because maybe we don't have our shit together. I don't have my shit together right now. I meet a guy and he's going to be controlling, and he's taking care of me, whatever. Right. Wow. Yeah. What if you had confidence? Would you even want to go out with that guy? And that guy wouldn't even probably swipe on you or want to even talk to you, because he's like, I got nothing to control here. She's got it together. Yes. Notice, it's so true.
Yeah, we get what we tolerate.
Yes, right? I love that line.
Yeah. And also there was a point that I was, on the dating apps and stuff like that. And I realized I was attracting a lot of not great quality of men. And I said, you know what? I need to take a break, because I can tell that if I'm attracting these kind of people, is that something in me is not, working, or I need to, look into. And it was my self-worth. It was my confidence. I wasn't feeling great. And so I was starting to attract the wrong crowd. And so I stopped dating for a while until I, work on myself and started to feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's so true. It's like the common denominator. We always say that. It's like, oh, there are no good men out there or whatever. And the reality is, when you kind of look at them, like, you know what?
You are the common denominator.
It's always me. It's always me. It's always us. It's always, and so it's, there's some element of that, but we have the power to choose. And I've learned that it's like, don't just accept, don't settle. And sometimes we stay in things way too long when we know it's not right, because, well, or the worst one is, I'll just wait till a better one comes along and stay in this for now. Oh, it's awful. That's awful things to our self-esteem is one way to look at it, but our self-worth, it's really a betrayal of the soul. It's a betrayal of our soul, because in our hearts, because we know it's not right, and we're doing it anyway.
Powerful.
and we're
Yeah, it's
doing it anyway.
betrayal of our soul. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's where the self-worth will just chip away at that like crazy because the soul, our heart's going like, he's not it. He's not it. And you're like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, but he's not the best. And he's like, nope. And you're just pushing it down, you're shoving it down, you're ignoring that voice that your spirit guides perhaps
Mhm.
is then it's a betrayal. It's a
Mm.
betrayal because we're
Oh,
not listening, we're not aligning. And
yeah,
boy,
because
that makes us feel like shit after a while.
your soul, your higher self will never make you feel bad. And if someone is making you feel bad, it's not the right person for you. So powerful. I love that.
Well, I will challenge that a little bit because I think that, no one can make us feel a certain way. There is that. But sometimes I went out with a guy the other night and he said something to me and it triggered me. And I thought, I said, jerk, I'm not going out with him again. But then I said to myself, wait a minute, he triggered me. What did he say? And I asked myself, I said, well, was he right? And I thought, oh, maybe he was right. Maybe he just actually hit a little trigger and it was something I needed to think about. So if it we have to really be wise and really look at it and be willing to be open to checking it
Yeah.
when we get
I mean,
something
there's
feels
a
off because
fine
anybody
line.
can piss us off, right? And we go, oh,
Right.
well, I'm not talking to you anymore. We would have no friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's a fine line between being an asshole and just a mirror, right? I think that you can tell when someone is being constructive, giving you criticism, and someone just being destructive.
Yes, that's a good point. And there's that difference is there's that feeling of shame. And sometimes shame, here's an interesting one. I just hit me. This is really good. The difference between shame and embarrassment.
Mm.
Shame is when someone is talking inappropriately and there's that feeling of, they're just trying to put us down. I
Mhm.
don't know how to say it a different way. And then the embarrassment is when you're called out on something and you're like, I'm embarrassed because the ego is exposed, right? Or our truth is exposed. And it's like, he was right. Like my friend saying to me the other day, oh, you said something to me that was passive aggressive. And I went, ooh, I did. And I felt what I thought was shame, but it was actually embarrassment. I was
Mhm.
embarrassed and my ego wanted to find ways to feel better right away. It was like, oh, but she doesn't, it was like you can those little things that quickly that come up like, well, but she took it the wrong way. She's so sensitive. I didn't think that, but those are things that we do. And
Yeah.
so I felt embarrassment in my ego was striving to try to protect, like find a way out of this pain. And I
Mm.
said, no, wait a second. Let me just look at it for a second. And I said, yeah, okay, I could see where she would feel bad about that, or that would have hurt her feelings. Or even if I can't see it, I was willing to just say, I'm really sorry that I hurt your feelings.
Right.
That wasn't
Because
ever intention.
usually, yeah.
But we're trying to save face. We're trying to save face. And that's the embarrassment versus the shame is where the unworthiness can kick in.
Mm.
And so that I don't know if that's actually a good thing, but I'm thinking if that's right. What do you think?
I mean, when you hurt someone's feeling, it doesn't really matter if you did it or you didn't. And usually we tend to excuse ourselves, right? And the first thing that we need to do is just apologize because most likely it was never your intention. And if it was, it's a good opportunity to apologize. But it's just basically acknowledging what was done. Even if you did it or you didn't, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry that what happened makes you feel that way, or that I made you feel that way, or whatever, but apologizing. And then you can talk about it and say, my intention was this. So I'm sorry if it wasn't, because usually other people cannot, like you said, they cannot make you feel anyway. It's you who's interpreting and being triggered or something in the past or whatever, or what you want to believe that means, that they're doing. She believes something about you, you believe something about her. And at the end of the day, both of you probably are hurt because you miss each other and you still want to be in each other's lives. You know,
Yeah.
we are
Yeah.
much more simple than what we want to make. We're simple. We just want to be loved and accepted and be needed and care about. We all have those needs.
Mm, that's so good because I think it took me a day or two to sit on it, and it finally hit me, where I finally got the release,
Mm-hmm.
was, it's like, oh, forgiveness of myself, forgiveness of her. You talked about forgiveness, and I really love that practice, not having animosity or bitterness or anything like that towards anyone. And that's a practice I have every morning in my prayers. But it was suddenly where I heard something about compassion, and I went, oh, maybe that trigger, what I said, was something that actually triggered her, because I'm not saying I was right or whatever, it was the wrong way to say it or whatever, but it triggered something. And I said, I could just imagine the change she's going through in her life, because she used to be with her friends all the time more, or whatever it is, right? Or then, or now she's in a relationship where she's more with time with this guy. And I almost, it was like I just had this incredible shift where I said, what would it be like to be in her shoes? She must be really navigating a new identity. And how does that feel? And here her best friend that she relies on, and we have so much mutual respect and love and confide in each other, says something that just pushes her off of her stable pedestal there for whatever it is, and she throws her off, and she's like, oh my God, I can't even rely. I saw it on her side, and as soon as I did that, it took away every possible feeling, where I stopped trying to, in my mind, how we go through it again. It's like, well, if she wouldn't have done this. And, the mind, the audio tapes are going all day long. And it's like, and I'm repeating it over and over again in my head. It's like, yeah, no, it's not, it's fine. Yeah. But if I just would have, you said that like 5 times 10 minutes ago, it's like, why do you keep repeating the same thing? It's like, so finally that noise, that chatter stopped when I was in her shoes and I saw compassion. I said, gosh, look at that. She's got such a great experience, and that must be amazing for her. And the struggle she must be going through to have to figure out how to navigate, to see everyone and to spend time and still spend time with this man she loves.
Yeah.
And all the chatting in my head stopped.
So basically it was like your higher self talking to you and your ego, fighting. And don't we all have that well, I don't know if all the time, but like, even for me, when I'm channeling and I'm giving amazing readings or coaching or whatever, there's a voice inside my head that says, who are you? Who are you to give advice to anybody? Look at you. And I'm like fighting them while I'm channeling messages. It's crazy how our brain works, right?
That's great share. I love that, because that's what happens. And it actually takes up space energetically. We can actually release that at some point. For me, it's that not worrying about what people think, or I don't want to look bad, and I don't want to be embarrassed. And so if I can free that up, then there's so much opportunity to just flow and live. And there's so much more possibility to just open up energetically and have more things come in, and just to have more goodness and blissfulness in my life.
Yeah. And what would happen if you look bad?
I know. It's like, but we have something there that's concreted, it's set up in there way deep, that one time we felt like we looked bad, and it is just sitting there, is like, it's a sticky note that just gets stuck every time. It just, attach it to that, attach it to that, attach it to that. And it just keeps, it's an automatic attachment that comes into any situation when there's that possibility, I think. Yeah. So it's just finding out what that sticky note says, and then where it came from, and get rid of it.
Yes. And write a new sticky note.
Write a new sticky notes. I love that. Well, Liz, this has been an amazing chat and conversation. Is there anything else you'd like to say to our viewers, our audience?
I just want to say to anybody that's still listening to this amazing podcast, and Jill, I'm so proud of you, and I hope that you continue growing and growing, because you have such a beautiful message to share with the world. Not just the people you bring here. You are amazing. And one day maybe you will find what that is, and it's coming from you. Maybe I can interview you. How's that?
Yeah. Well, I think that's something I keep hearing, and that's what that's been on my list, is doing more individual, like my thoughts instead of interviewing. And that's been a great insight that I know about. I've done a couple of them here, but
one day
I would say it's a safer feeling for me to interview people than it is to just talk to myself.
Yeah, but I think that you have a gift. A lot of women you have so much to teach, Jill. I know You have had so many, things in your life. You are such an entrepreneur. I think that we can talk about it. We can talk about
Very well. Stay tuned, everyone. More is coming. I tell you, one of my biggest fears is to do. I know Jonathan Astley, one of my good friends and guests, who's been on the show twice. He does these lives here several times a week, and I keep saying I want to do a live someday, but I'm like, what if no one comes and I'm just sitting there talking to myself? And I won't start it for that very reason, because I'm so afraid I'll be sitting here going, okay, so everyone, today we're going to, there's no one there. I'm like,
I know, I feel the same way. It's awful. But, someone might, when I sent that email about what was going on in my life with my kids and everything, I said, even if nobody reads it and I help one person, and then you call me right away, or you text me or email, whatever it was. And I was like, that's it. It was Jill who needed to hear it.
That's it. I saw your email and I said, oh, this is a topic, sister. We got to talk about this.
Yes. Well, anyway, if anybody wants to work with me, tomorrow I'm teaching this beautiful free class on Attract What You Want. So we're going to leave the links below. And June 1st, Becoming Her starts. And if you use the code Jill50, you will have $50 off. So I hope to see more people join, because my goal is to help as many people as possible to just go through life in a happier and more lightweight.
Sounds great. I love it. Well, you've been such an inspiration to me, and I so appreciate your friendship. Thanks, Lise. Thanks,
girl.
Thanks. Yeah, and thanks everyone for joining today. And again, please share the video with others that you think would benefit from this, and subscribe and hit the bell. Want to serve more and give you more. All right. Take care, everyone. Have an amazing day.